Do you love ink blending, but have a hard time organizing all of your ink blending foams? They get lost, you end up misplacing them, or not knowing which color matches with which ink pad. As much as I love ink blending and using the distress tools and sponges, I have a hard time trying to keep all of my sponges organized. Well, I have a solution for you. I'm Amy Sonnemann, and today I'm happy to join Layle by Mail in presenting this amazing organizational tool to help you get started organizing all of your ink blending tools. Let's jump in and get started. After years of struggling with a way to organize my domed foam blending tools, I have developed an organizational tool that allows you to store 40 domed blending tips in one box. Each one is labeled. You can see what the name is on the front as well as the back. How amazing would this tool be to keep all of your stamp pads organized with the matching blending tool? I am excited to no longer have to throw away a blending tool because I don't know which ink pad it goes to, whether it's an oxide, whether it's a dye-based ink. All of the guesswork is taken out by this easy and quick storage solution. Let's take a look. Each foam has its own space that's marked. We have a Velcro back that allows you to place your foam back in the right place every time. So every foam has its spot. Every spot is marked. When you flip it over, you'll notice that every single foam has a matching swatch on the front to make everything easy to find. Before I jump right in and show you how to use the organizational tool, I want to just share a little bit about how I went ahead and decided how to organize my colors. I have all of my inks swatched with the Swatch This Ink stamp set, which is sold separately. Before I swatched any of my inks on my organizational tool, I first organized my color swatches in the order that I wanted them on my sheet. So I took all of my inks and I organized them by color. Whether you like to go Roy G. Biv, you could do it that way. You could use the Tim Holtz ink swatching palette. If you have all of them, you can go by release. It's strictly up to you, but it was a whole lot easier to put them in order ahead of time than to decide on the go. So I highly recommend you kind of put your inks in the order you want them before you ever start working with the organizational tool. That's just a little tip to help you get started. So in your kit, you're going to have your box. You're going to have two of the grids. The two grids will go back to back inside of your box. Okay, so that's how they'll fit in so that you have all of your colors in the box. And that way you won't transfer color from one sheet to the other or from the lid onto your blending foam. You're also going to have 40 of the circles. So as you swatch one square, you're also going to swatch one circle to go on the cover. Every square will have a matching swatched circle. I'll show you how that works in a moment. The other thing you have is the hook and loop part of the Velcro. You only need one side of the Velcro because the foam has the opposite side already on it. So you're only going to use the hook and loop side, and you'll have 40 of those in each of the kits. The easiest way to explain how this system works is to just jump in and show you how. I organized mine by the Roy G. Biv color families. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So I'm going to start with the pinks and the reds. And once I organized them how I wanted them to be swatched, I put them in that exact same order. It's going to be apparent once we start this process why I did that. So hang in there and let me show you how it all works. I also have one of the circles to be able to swatch the cover as well as the sheet itself. The first color we're going to swatch is Tattered Rose, and you're going to take your ink blending tool and you're just going to rub in a circular motion to get lots of ink on your tool. You're going to go ahead and take it to the first square and you're just going to kind of dab. If you have a nice juicy ink pad, you won't have to do much. You just kind of smush it in and it gives you that beautiful circle. When you have your ink tool filled with ink, you're going to go ahead and take one of the circles and use a scrap piece of paper to be able to blend on. You're going to go ahead and you're going to swatch one of the circles as well. So we're going to put our lid back on that one. And we're going to put our circle on top of the lid. So we know we've done it, we know it's drying, because Distress Oxides do take a little bit of time to dry. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do each one and let them dry. The next color is Spun Sugar. We're going to rev it up. We're going to just kind of pounce it on there. We're going to take a circle. We're going to ink that as well. So you have your Spun Sugar. I'm going to show you this one, which I've already done, so that you can see how this works. So I took the Spun Sugar. It's labeled Spun Sugar. I have the one I just used, and I'm going to put it right back in that spot before I go on to the next one. Now, for the person who doesn't like to get their hands dirty, I highly recommend you use gloves and you wipe your hands off often because you don't want to transfer a light color to a dark sponge. I just have a wet rag sitting off camera so that I can wipe my hands off as I go. The next color is Saltwater Taffy. I'm going to grab my blending foam and I'm going to ink it with color. I'm going to add my little dot. You might pounce it once or twice. Take another circle and pounce that as well. Depending on how dry your ink pad is or how wet your ink pad is, it's either going to be really easy to do or you're going to have to work a little harder at it. So if you have to work a little harder at it, you might consider re-inking your pad. I'm going to put my Saltwater Taffy circle on top of it. We're going to move on to Kitsch Flamingo. Next is Picked Raspberry. And my Picked Raspberry needs to be re-inked. So what you're going to do is you're going to just push it down and spin. That gives you a nice solid color if you need to re-ink your pad. That's the solution I found to be able to get a nice solid color. As you notice, the same thing is happening on the little circle. I'm just going to re-ink again. And then I'm going to swirl. Kind of dab and swirl. And then you get that nice pretty color. If you need to re-ink, be sure to give it just a little swirl and that should take care of it. I'm going to fast forward and get all of these swatched and then we'll jump to the next section. Now that I have my first set of inks swatched on my piece of paper, you'll notice that how do you find the color and when do you put the color on? It takes a while for the Distress Oxides to dry and to be able to write on top of them. So what I did is I took my Distress Oxides, I let them sit just like they are overnight, and I let them dry really, really well before I started writing on top of it, because the way the oxides are, you'll get a film of the oxidization on your pen if you try to write too soon, and it won't write very well. We used the little fine-tipped Sharpie marker to write on them, and they did a great job as long as they were really, really dry. So if you notice, we went ahead and wrote the name on the top of each of the circles, like this. So when everything is dry, you'll also go ahead and add your ink color to the bottom of each of the squares. Then you'll add your adhesive hook and loop to the bottom, and then you'll put your foam on top. Now, like I said, this is not for the person who does not like to get dirty. So if you don't like to get dirty and inky, definitely wear a pair of gloves that you can easily wipe off. It doesn't bother me, but it really bothers Layle. So I went ahead and did all of these while I was with Layle last weekend to be able to show you how it all works out. As you'll notice, the top holds 20. When you flip it over, the bottom holds 20. So you're going to have 40 foam tools inside of one box. You'll notice that I left extra spots because our friend Tim Holtz does a fantastic job of expanding his color selection. So I always want to be able to add a few more colors in my boxes. So I leave, depending on how you decide you want your boxes to look, leave a couple spaces so that when Tim comes out with even more amazing colors, you'll have options and be able to expand into your case. I also want to show you how I did the circles. You don't want to take your light color and put it next to your dark, because it's going to transfer that color onto your light colored foam. So just take some scrap paper and keep them separate. And I definitely would not start in with an orange or a green or a blue on this piece. I'd just throw it away. Now, if I were Vicki Boutin, I would do all of my ink blending on this and I would look at it and go, that's kind of fun. What can I use that for? I wanted to go ahead and continue ink swatching and realized that I needed space to go to the next set. I wanted to show you how I laid out all of my inks in the same format that I have on my swatching card. And I laid them inside of my tray of the We Are Memory Keepers cart. This allows me to pick up my tray, put it in my cart, and go on to the next set of colors. When it's all done, your box will look like this. You'll have your pinks and your reds on one side. I did my oranges and yellows and the start of the greens on another. Then I went from my teals to my blues. I don't have very many purples, but the purples are on the back of that. I don't have all of the Tim Holtz Distress Oxides, so I didn't fill all of my boxes, but my third box is nothing but the neutrals. And then there's room to expand on the back if I choose. I was able to get all of my foam blending tools into 3 boxes. Quick, simple, easy. I know a lot of people have one of the tools, the handles, for every single ink, and then they ink swatch the end so that you know what that tool is. I don't have storage for that. It's beautiful. I love the way it looks when people do it, but I personally don't have space for that. So this was kind of my other option to keep everything clean, neat, and organized. This way you can have a few of the handles and switch all of the foam anytime you'd like. A few tips that I've learned along the way is the Sharpie marker that looks like this does a great job of writing on top of the circles. If your pen starts to not write so well because of the oxidization of that ink, just take it and scribble it off on a scratch piece of paper, and that works really well. You'll be able to go ahead and go right back to writing again. To adhere the actual circles to the plastic, you're going to want something that's super strong and is going to last over time. I use the red line tape, which is super sticky, and it adheres to the box really well. If you don't have the red line tape, the tear tape works well also. Once I get my boxes completely filled and all of the spaces have the little dots on top and are swatched, I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of laminating, the sticky laminating, and put it over the whole cover. Then my dots won't fall off. I won't have to worry about the type of adhesive I've used, and it allows me to have this so that it won't get dirty as you're working with the really fun colors of ink. So when I'm all done, I'm going to go ahead and put the laminate over the top of my box. I think that will be something that will be super helpful and not get all of my little cute circles dirty with other ink colors. Those are a few tips that I'm going to do in the future. Might be something you might want to do as well. Hope that helps. Since this organization tool works so well for us, we've given you 3 options if you like to test it out and see what you think. Next, I want to show you each of the products that are included in the kits. The first kit, you will get the plastic container, 40 of the Velcro dots, 40 circles, and 2 of the grids to go inside of the box. The second kit includes the storage box, 40 circles, 2 of the grids, as well as 40 of the Velcro dots and 40 of the mini domed ink blending foam. The third kit is for someone who is just getting started and doesn't have any blending foam. There are 2 of the mini ink blending tools themselves, 40 of the domed ink blending foams, as well as the box, 40 circles, 2 of the grids, and 40 of the Velcro dots. Depending on where you are in your crafting and ink swatching, there's a set for every purpose and every person. So choose the set that works best for you.